Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take complex information and transform it into clear, actionable knowledge just for you. Today, we're plunging into a topic that truly impacts your daily health and, well, your long-term well-being: nutrition. Our source material is the incredibly relevant Dietary Guidelines for Indians 2024, just published by the ICMR National Institute of Nutrition. Our mission today: to cut through all the detail in this comprehensive document and really pull out the most important practical insights you can use right away.
And these guidelines, they couldn't really come at a more crucial time. When we look at the current nutrition landscape in India, we're sort of grappling with a dual challenge. On one hand, we still face persistent issues like undernutrition, concerning rates of anemia, various vitamin deficiencies, that kind of thing. But on the other hand, there's this alarming and frankly rapid rise in non-communicable diseases, NCDs we call them.
Right, things like obesity, diabetes.
Exactly. Obesity, hypertension, diabetes. And the shift we've seen towards foods high in fat, sugar, and salt, HFSS foods,
Right.
and a huge surge in ultra-processed foods, UPS, that's really driving this trend. So these guidelines are, well, they're essentially a roadmap designed to counter precisely that.
That's a really powerful context. So, okay, let's dive straight into the foundation then. Guideline 1. Eating a wide variety of foods for a truly balanced diet. Sounds simple enough, right? But the guidelines give us a very specific blueprint, almost like a food plate visualization.
Exactly. That food plate concept is incredibly helpful, especially for someone aiming for, say, a balanced 2000 kcal diet. Instead of just thinking grams, think proportions. A very significant portion, like nearly half your plate, should be vegetables and fruits.
Half.
Yeah. The guidelines suggest around 400 grams of vegetables and about 100 grams of fruits daily. It's a lot. Then the next largest segment, maybe about a quarter of the plate, belongs to cereals and nutri-cereals, things like millets. After that, you're looking at balanced amounts of pulses and legumes, and also milk or curd, that traditional yogurt. And what's interesting here is that about a third of your recommended pulses, maybe 30 grams or so, can actually be swapped for fish or other lean meats if that fits your diet.
Okay.
And finally, in smaller but still crucial quantities, you need nuts, seeds, and some healthy fats and oils.
So when the guidelines talk about a healthy meal, what does that actually look like on the plate?
It means generous amounts of vegetables, definitely, adequate whole grains and pulses, modest portions of nuts and seeds, and maybe some fermented yogurt or curd. Crucially, they emphasize a balanced diet is pretty much free of added sugars and uses minimal refined oil and salt.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about those in-between meal moments? Snacks. What does a healthy snack look like here?
A healthy snack, according to the guidelines, is typically something like salads, maybe some sprouts, a handful of nuts, or cooked legumes like chickpeas. It's really about choosing whole, unprocessed options, which brings up an important point.
Yes.
Snacking should be healthy, absolutely, but also, limited. Maybe just 2 or 3 times a day between your main meals. It's not really an open invitation to graze constantly.
Got it. Healthy, but not all the time. Okay, that breakdown is much clearer than just a list. For you listening, does this picture of the plate challenge any assumptions you have about your own meals? While you're thinking about that, let's shift focus a bit. From the overall plate to some key components. Let's start with protein.
Oh, yes, protein, absolutely vital. That's guideline 8, its role in maintaining good muscle mass and just general health. It really can't be overstated. And what's truly insightful here is the emphasis on getting high-quality proteins and those essential amino acids, EAAs, through smart food combinations. They specifically point out, and this is interesting, that combining cereals with pulses...
Like dal and rice.
Exactly. In roughly a 3-to-1 ratio, so 3 parts cereal to 1 part pulse, significantly improves the overall protein quality of that meal. It's about synergy.
That 3.1 ratio, that's quite specific. It really shows how foods work together.
It does, and perhaps a surprising takeaway for some people. For a normal, healthy life, the guidelines suggest protein supplements are generally, well, unnecessary if your diet is balanced.
Yeah, good to know. Save some money, perhaps. Okay, moving on to another essential nutrient: fats and oils. Guideline 7. We often hear the alphabet soup, SFAs, PUFAs, but what do the guidelines say about their importance, especially N3 PUFAs, omega-3s? Where do we find those?
Well, yes, those are the different types of fats, and they definitely impact your health differently. The guidelines place a strong emphasis on N3 PUFAs, the omega-3s, for their health benefits. Sources include marine fish, think salmon, mackerel, tuna, good fatty fish. But for those who don't eat fish, you can also find them in nuts and seeds. Things like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, even fenugreek seeds.
Oh, fenugreek seeds too. Interesting.
Yes, and even some green leafy vegetables like spinach and soybean have some omega-3s. Now, on the flip side, there's a crucial warning about trans fats.
Right, the ones often found in hydrogenated fats like Venice body.
Yeah.
That solid cooking fat.
Precisely. It's common in many Indian households. The guidelines strongly recommend avoiding them altogether. Stop using them if you can. And another really important warning, avoid repeatedly heating cooking oils.
Reusing oil for frying multiple times.
Exactly. That process generates harmful oxidative compounds. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often might we be inadvertently creating unhealthy compounds right in our own kitchens?
That's a great point about cooking oil, something so many might do without a second thought. Really makes you pause. Okay, shifting gears slightly. The guidelines are also very clear on what we need to minimize. That's Guideline 15. High-fat, sugar, salt HFSS foods, and ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. So from a practical standpoint, what does this actually mean for, your grocery list? What should we be cutting back on?
The guidelines are pretty unequivocal here. UPFs are directly linked to the rise of those NCDs we talked about earlier. Think packaged snacks, ready-to-eat meals, sugary beverages, many bakery products. The list goes on.
Okay, so what are the alternatives? Do they suggest swaps?
They do, very practical ones. For example, instead of reaching for high-calorie things like pizza or fried snacks or maybe traditional sweets, which can be very sugary, the advice is to opt for lower-calorie alternatives. Fresh salads, a handful of nuts or seeds, maybe some fresh fruit.
And what about sugary drinks? Sodas, juices with added sugar?
Swap them out. Tender coconut water is great, buttermilk, fresh lemon juice, or even just adding chia seeds to lemon water. It's about making those conscious choices.
Conscious choices. And speaking of which, let's not forget salt. Guideline 11. It has that direct link to hypertension, heart disease.
Yes, and the recommendation is stark, a daily intake of just 5 grams of common salt.
5 grams. How much is that really?
It's essentially 1 level teaspoon for the entire day.
Wow, 1 teaspoon. That's not a lot when you think about it.
It's not. And it's truly eye-opening how much processed foods contribute to high salt intake. Often completely hidden, you wouldn't even realize it.
Definitely need to check labels there.
Absolutely. Now, maybe we can zoom out for a moment, see how these foundational guidelines adapt across different life stages. Because our nutritional needs, they're constantly evolving.
Good idea. Needs change throughout life.
Exactly. So, for pregnancy and lactation, for example, the guidelines really emphasize a balanced diet for both the mother's health and the baby's development, alongside, of course, strongly advising against alcohol and tobacco. They also bring up things like recommending a woman be at least 21 for her first pregnancy and highlighting the importance of iron, folic acid, and calcium supplementation during this time.
And for the baby itself.
Exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months is key. Absolutely critical. And continuing breastfeeding, along with complementary foods, up to 2 years and even beyond. Then, when we talk about infant feeding from about 6 months onwards, it's about introducing homemade, semi-solid complementary foods.
Like simple purees.
Yes, think carrot puree, pumpkin puree, maybe some cooked spinach puree, even grated boiled egg or mashed fish, introduced carefully. And they give examples of healthy snacks too, like cowpea or banana puree. Hygiene during preparation is, of course, paramount here.
Makes sense. And this tailored approach continues for older kids.
It does. For children and adolescents, there are specific dietary recommendations aimed at supporting healthy growth and, importantly, preventing those NCDs later in life. They even provide sample diets for different activity levels, showing how their food plate proportions need to adjust for higher energy needs.
So active teenagers might need significantly more food.
Oh, absolutely. For physically active teens aged 16-18, they might need anywhere from 2,500 to over 3,300 kcal, so their plates look quite different. And finally, for the elderly, the focus shifts slightly. It's about nutrient-rich foods to maintain health, adequate physical activity, continuing to avoid those HFSS and UPFs, and really ensuring good hydration for overall wellness.
It truly is a complete life cycle approach, isn't it? Very comprehensive.
It aims to be. And beyond just what we eat, the guidelines also touch upon broader lifestyle elements.
Like exercise.
Exactly. Physical activity is Guideline 10. For adults, they recommend 30 to 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity activity daily.
Daily. Wow. And is it just cardio, like running or cycling?
No, it's more holistic than that. It should encompass aerobic exercises, yes, but also muscle strengthening activities, bone strengthening activities, and even balance exercises, especially as we get older. It's a well-rounded fitness picture.
That's fascinating because it goes beyond just exercise more. It specifies the types of activity.
Yeah.
Very useful. And what about the practicalities? Like food safety and cooking methods, guidelines 12 and 13, I think?
Yes, absolutely vital. They underscore the critical importance of consuming safe and clean foods. This isn't just about avoiding tummy bugs, it helps prevent malnutrition too. Simple hygiene practices are highlighted: proper hand washing, storing foods correctly, especially perishables, below 5 degrees Celsius.
Basic stuff, but easy to forget sometimes.
Very true. And for cooking, the emphasis is on methods that retain nutrients as much as possible. So, blanching vegetables is often considered better than boiling them for long periods. Pressure cooking and steaming are highly recommended.
Okay, less boiling, more steaming. Got it. Any mention of cookware?
There's a small note, yeah. It suggests that granite stone cookware might be considered safer than some older non-stick coatings, which can potentially get damaged and degrade at high temperatures.
Interesting detail. Okay, and to wrap up this section, let's touch on reading food labels. Guideline 17. Why should people really care about reading the small print?
Because they are a treasure trove of information.
It
Seriously.
ain't just calories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They provide crucial details on ingredients, what's actually in the food nutritional values, like energy, carbs, fats, sodium, fiber, sometimes minerals and vitamins too, and allergen declarations, which are critical for many people. The guidelines really encourage checking for official FSSAI logos like the vegan symbol or the fortified plus F logo. And also to be a bit critical of vague claims like natural or organic, unless they come with actual certification to back it up.
So it's about becoming a more informed, maybe even slightly skeptical consumer.
Exactly, empowering yourself with information.
Okay. So what does this all boil down to for you, the listener?
We've taken quite a journey through these new 2024 dietary guidelines for Indians. We've moved from the big picture of India's unique nutritional challenges, the double burden, right down to the specifics of what goes on your plate, how to prepare it safely, and even how to decode those food labels. And if we step back for just a moment, what these guidelines truly offer is, I think, a holistic approach to health. It's quite comprehensive. It's not just about the food we put into our bodies, is it? It's also about how we prepare it, how we move, how we make informed choices every day. It really feels like it's about cultivating habits that promote long-term well-being, actively combating both those historical issues of undernutrition and the modern rise of lifestyle diseases.
Yeah, absolutely. This deep dive really reveals that being well informed about nutrition isn't necessarily about rigid, restrictive diets, is it? It feels much more about cultivating balanced, diverse, and importantly, mindful eating habits. Habits that can adapt to your life, your preferences, your circumstances. So here's a final provocative thought for you to maybe mull over as we finish up. Think about just one small, consistent change you could potentially make based on what we've discussed today. Maybe it's consciously increasing your daily vegetable intake. Maybe it's trying that 3.1 cereal pulse combination more often. Or perhaps it's simply taking an extra 30 seconds to actually read a food label more closely next time you shop. How might that single consistent change, whatever it is for you, how might that ripple out to impact your overall health in, say, the next 6 months? Something to think about.